The twin suns of planet Zephyria 4 scorched the cracked surface of the desert world. It hadn't rained in over 3 moon cycles. Villages had dried up. Rivers turned into dust trails. And the once beautiful oasis of the Nari clans was now guarded by soldiers in black armor. No one was allowed to drink from the wellspring, not even the people it once belonged to. Among the thirsty, starving crowd hiding in the dry mountains was a young alien girl named Sira. She was barely 17, with soft silver skin that shimmered like moonlight. Her large violet eyes were sunken now, lips cracked from thirst. Her little brother clung to her leg, whispering with a dry voice, "Sira, I'm so thirsty." Sira's heart broke every time he said that. The soldiers had taken control of the only water source. Anyone caught stealing got punished. Last week she saw an old man's leg cut off just for touching the fountain wall. Still, what choice did she have? Her brother would die if she didn't do something. That night, under the cover of darkness, Sira wrapped herself in torn cloth, tied her long hair back, and crept down the rocky slope toward the guarded oasis. Her small hands clutched an empty metal flask. Her entire body trembled, not from fear but from hope. If she could just get one flask. But soldiers don't sleep, they watch. And one of them saw the movement. "Intruder!" A loud voice echoed across the oasis. Sira didn't even get the chance to run. 3 armored figures surrounded her before she could reach the water. One grabbed her by the wrist and yanked her forward. She fell to the ground, face first in the dust. The flask rolled away, empty. A 4th soldier stepped forward, holding a strange black blade in his hand. His helmet had glowing red eyes. "Stealing from the high wellspring is a cutting offense," he growled. Sira's lips trembled. "Please, my brother. He's dying, just one flask." But they didn't care. The soldier raised the blade. She closed her eyes. "This is it. I'll lose my arm. Or maybe worse. Then, that's enough." The voice was loud, sharp, human. A tall figure stepped out from the shadows behind the soldiers. He wore a worn-out desert cloak, dust-covered boots, and had a small pack over his shoulder. But under the hood you could see his face. It was a human man, probably in his 30s, muscular, tired-looking, with a scar over one eye, and in his hand was a UN-issued command badge. The soldiers paused. "Who are you?" The man tossed the badge forward. It slid across the sand and stopped right before the lead soldier's foot. "Commander Jackson Reeve, Earth Expeditionary Forces. You just pulled a weapon on a civilian in front of a United Nations officer." The soldier stiffened. "She broke the law." Reeve stepped forward. "And I'll handle it." "You're not in charge here." Reeve's voice dropped lower, colder. "Then let's call Central Command and tell them the Nari girl got her arm chopped off for trying to save her little brother. Let's see how many war crimes we can stack up tonight." Silence. The soldier looked at the others. The tension in the air was sharp. But after a few seconds, the leader growled, "Take her and get out. If she returns, there won't be a second chance." Reeve didn't respond. He just knelt beside the girl. Sira had stopped crying. She was frozen. He gently helped her up, placing a cloth over her scraped hands. "I have water," he said softly. "Come with me." She looked at him in disbelief. Why would a human help me?" Reeve didn't answer right away. He just looked up at the glowing sky, then whispered, "Because I saw my own sister die once. Just like this. And I'll be damned if I watch another girl lose everything because the strong forgot what it means to be human." As they walked away from the oasis, the stars blinked above them, watching. Unseen by either of them, a secret camera hidden in the rocks had recorded the entire scene. And on the other side of the planet, someone very powerful was watching it live, and they were not happy. The desert night was colder than expected. The warmth of the twin suns vanished fast, and the winds howled like ghosts through the dry canyons. Sira held the flask close to her chest, cradling it like treasure. She took only a small sip and then gave the rest to her little brother, Noro. The boy drank with shaking hands before falling asleep beside a rock, finally able to rest. Commander. Jackson Reeves sat a few feet away, poking at a small fire. His eyes stared into the flames, but his mind was somewhere far away. Sierra finally found the courage to speak. You saved me. But why are you really here, human? Reeve didn't look at her. His voice was quiet. I came here as part of the peace team. Earth wanted to help restore balance after the trade wars, but when we arrived, the corporates were already here, selling weapons, taking land, controlling water. Sierra looked confused. What's a corporate? He smiled faintly. Big companies, greedy ones. Not soldiers, but they act worse than any army. They buy planets, own armies, even governments. Sierra's eyes narrowed. But this is our planet. Zephyria belongs to the Nari. Not anymore, he said grimly. Not to them. For a moment they both fell silent. The wind howled again. Then Sierra asked, What happened to your sister? Reeves' jaw tightened. He slowly looked toward the stars above. She was like you. Strong. Brave. Her name was Mira. During a mission on a colony world, she snuck into a mining camp to help a trapped worker. They caught her. Said she was stealing. They didn't wait for questions, just took her life. Sierra's voice shook. That's horrible. Reeve nodded. That's why I joined the off-world task force, to stop things like that. But sometimes, the ones doing wrong wear the right uniforms. Sierra lowered her eyes. She looked at the sleeping form of her brother. If I died, what would have happened to him? Reeve finally stood. Let's make sure you don't have to find out. He tossed a small device to her. It was a purifier tablet box, rare tech that could clean even poisoned water. Her eyes widened in disbelief. Use 1 tablet per flask. Don't waste them, he said. But this is too much, she whispered. Call it repayment. For reminding me who I am. Before she could say more, a small beeping sound came from Reeves' wristcom. He tapped it, and a tiny blue hologram of a woman in military uniform appeared. Commander. Reeve, she said sharply. You've broken protocol. You interfered with local security forces. You're being recalled. Reeve frowned. I saved a civilian. Not our concern, she replied coldly. You're assigned to observe, not interfere. I don't follow orders that lead to children dying. The hologram glitched slightly. This is your last warning. Return to base, or face consequences. Then, the image disappeared. Sierra stood slowly. Are they going to punish you for saving me? Reeve didn't answer. Instead, he bent down and handed her a second flask. There's a caravan route 3 days north. If you stay low and avoid drones, you'll find a refugee camp run by Earth's peace mission. They'll take you in. But what about you? He gave a tired smile. I've broken bigger rules before. Suddenly, they both froze. A faint humming sound echoed through the canyons. Hover bikes. Bright red lights flickered between the rocks. Above, Sierra's eyes went wide. They followed us. Reeve reached for his sidearm. Stay down. Don't move unless I say. But Sierra didn't stay. She grabbed Noro and began crawling away silently. Reeve didn't stop her. His full attention was on the incoming threat. 3 corporate hunters dropped from the cliffs, their armor glowing under the moonlight. Each carried a shock lance and heavy scanner packs. The leader smirked. There's a price on that, girls. Head now. Attempted theft of classified liquid assets, dead or alive. Reeve didn't move. You'll have to go through me. The man laughed. You're alone, Commander. 1 human, 3 hunters. Reeve pulled off his cloak, revealing a lightweight exosuit underneath. Then he smirked back. Wrong, I'm 1 trained human. And then, he moved. Lightning fast, he rolled to the side, fired a stun blast into the first hunter's faceplate, and kicked the second into the fire. The third slashed at him with a lance, but Reeve blocked it with his arm guard and countered, with a punch so strong it knocked the man back 10 feet. Sierra watched in awe from behind a rock. She had never seen anyone move like that. Not even the Nari warriors. When the dust settled, all three hunters lay groaning on the sand. Reeve stood over them, breathing hard. He turned toward Sierra. Go. Take your brother and run. I'll cover you. She didn't want to leave, but she nodded. As she ran into the night holding Noro close, she whispered, I will repay this. I swear by the stars. Behind her, Reeve raised his wrist comm again. He didn't send a message to Earth. He sent one to someone else. A hidden rebel group. Code Red, he whispered. It's time. The desert is rising. The wind howled again, but this time it carried more than sand. It carried hope. Sierra pushed forward through the dry night, her arms wrapped tightly around Noro. Her brother was still too weak to walk, but his breathing had become steady since drinking the clean water. The purifier tablets Reeve gave her were working. Behind them, the fire was now only a memory, and the man who saved her, a human, was risking everything. She had no idea why. Someone from Earth would do that. But something told her Reeve was not just a soldier. He was hiding something bigger. Far behind them, Commander Jackson Reeve stood beside the smoldering remains of the campfire, staring into the desert as the horizon turned gray with approaching dawn. The three hunters lay unconscious, tied with energy cuffs, behind a large boulder. His wrist comm blinked. A voice crackled through. Reeve? You sent the code red? After all this time? Yes, Reeve replied. The corporates are no longer hiding it. They're calling water theft a capital offense. They almost chopped a child's arm off. There was silence. Then the voice answered. Understood. Meeting point? Reeve looked around. There's an old mining station buried under the sand. Station Theta 9. We used it during the ceasefire. Still has working comms. Copy that. 1 rotation. Don't be followed. The message ended. Reeve began walking. By midday, Sierra found a small cave nestled in the side of a broken ridge. Inside was just enough shade for her and Noro. She laid, her brother down, and sat beside him, clutching the flask tight. He opened his eyes. Sierra, where's the human? He stayed behind. He fought off the bad ones. Noro blinked. Is he like the old stories? The humans who come from the sky to help us? She smiled gently. Maybe. Then her smile faded, because deep inside she was starting to wonder, why are humans even here, if all they do is watch us suffer? Reeve reached the buried entrance to Station Theta 9 by nightfall. It looked like a pile of collapsed rock, but under the sand was a steel hatch. He placed his hand on the old access panel. A faint green light blinked, still working. He stepped inside. The corridor was dusty but intact. Old rebel flags hung half-torn from the walls. Screens flickered. Light panels glowed dimly, and in the center of the room stood a hologram table. He powered it up, a soft buzz. Then a 3D map of Zephiria's desert bloomed into the air. Dots marked water routes, corporate bases, and hidden refugee paths. He zoomed into the wellspring oasis. He saw what he feared. The corporates weren't just guarding the water, they were redirecting it. Underground tunnels were draining the oasis into private off-world transport lines. They were shipping Zephiria's water off-planet for profit, and the locals, left to die. Reeve slammed his fist into the table. This isn't peacekeeping, this is theft, slow genocide. He opened a side panel and pulled out a weathered datapad. A rebel code was burned into the back. Phoenix Cell. He began typing. Broadcast. To all rebel-linked survivors. The wellspring is compromised. Corporates draining water through deep tunnel siphons. Earth command ignoring. Uprising needed. I will take the first shot. Then he hit send elsewhere. In a hidden orbital ship cloaked above Zephiria's atmosphere, a sleek alien woman sat in a dark chamber, her glowing eyes fixed on the screen. She had been watching everything, from the attempted execution of the alien girl, to the humans' interference, to the rebel code. Her aide stepped forward. High Inquisitor, do we respond? She didn't blink. Not yet. Let the human act first. If he truly wishes to burn down the corporates, she stood, then we shall hand him the match. Back at the cave, Sira awoke to a strange humming sound. A drone, not a corporate one, but a rebel scout drone, low and small, like a metal beetle. It stopped at the cave entrance, projected a blue symbol on the wall, a burning bird, the sign of Phoenix Cell. Sira's eyes widened. She had heard rumors of this group, freedom fighters long gone. She stepped toward the drone cautiously. It scanned her, then opened a small compartment. Inside was a holotape. A message began to play. If you are seeing this, you are not alone. We are rising. If you know the human who fought at the wellspring, follow the light trail tonight. The war is not over, and your courage is needed. Then the drone zipped off into the sky. Sira stood there holding her breath. War? She whispered. Then she looked down at Noro, who had woken and was watching her silently, and she made her choice. Sira tied her cloth scarf around her head, covering her face from the sand and wind. Night had fallen again. Her little brother, Noro, sat beside her in the cave, hugging her leg, eyes wide and full of fear. You're going to follow it? He asked in a small voice. She nodded. The drone came for a reason. The man who saved me. He's part of something bigger. If there's even a chance we can fight back, I have to go. Noro clutched her arm. But what if they catch you? Sira's voice was quiet but steady. Then they'll learn something new. What's that? That Nari girls don't run anymore. She packed the last of the purified water into a pouch, left her brother with extra tablets, and made a small shelter of stones and cloth in the cave. Stay hidden. I'll return before the next sun. And with that, she stepped into the desert. The drone's path was marked by faint blue glows, tiny, almost invisible trails of light that shimmered against certain rocks. Sira moved swiftly, avoiding patrol zones and lookout posts. Her bare feet moved silently across the dunes. Her heart pounded not just from fear, but from something else. Purpose. She wasn't just a desperate girl anymore. She was part of something. Back at Station Theta 9, Reeve sat inside the control room, watching dozens of blinking dots on his tactical map. He saw small groups beginning to move, signals from old rebel bunkers, forgotten desert camps, even a few deep space ships that had once supported the rebellion. It had begun, but something still bothered him. He opened the encrypted database and pulled up Sira's bioscan, taken during the initial rescue. He compared it with something buried deep in old military logs from the Zephyrian archives. His eyes narrowed. No way, he muttered. The biometric match confirmed it. Sira was the last living daughter of the Nari royal bloodline. She wasn't just a girl who got caught stealing water. She was a hidden princess. Sira finally reached the location. The drone's trail ended at a wide canyon filled with shadows. In the center stood a single figure, tall, covered in light armor, carrying a staff with an old rebel symbol carved into it. Name? The figure asked, his voice deep and strange. Sira stepped forward. I don't have one that matters to you. I came because of the human. He saved me. And now, I want to help him. The figure didn't move. Do you know what this place is? She looked around. A canyon? He shook his head, then tapped a button on his staff. The ground trembled. From below the canyon floor, a large circular door began to rise. Old, rusted, but still functional. Lights flickered on its surface. This, he said, was once called the Ember Forge. Sira took a step back. What is it? A hidden vault. Inside it are weapons, tools, knowledge, all left behind when the first rebellion failed. We thought it was lost. But the human, he led us back here. Sira blinked. He knew. No. But his actions gave the signal. The code red isn't just a call for help. It's a key. One that only activates if someone shows true courage, without reward. The door creaked open. Warm, reddish light poured out. The figure turned to her. You're not here by accident. The forge doesn't open for anyone. Only someone of Nari blood can step inside and reignite the flame. Sira felt something cold and sharp crawl through her spine. You mean, He nodded. Yes, you are the last of the Nari flame keepers, and the forge knows its queen. Inside the Ember Forge, ancient weapons hung in glowing racks. They were sleek, strange, but beautiful. Technology lost to time. Battle armor glistened in sealed pods. Maps, tactical archives, and names of rebels who once died here were preserved on crystal tablets. Sira touched one of the armor suits. It felt warm to the touch. The AI voice spoke. Welcome, Flamekeeper. Identity verified. Would you like to begin restoration of the Order? Her eyes widened. Yes, she whispered. And with that word, the fire returned to Zephyria. Meanwhile, Reeves' alert beacon pinged. A new symbol appeared on the map, one he hadn't seen in years, the Nari flame sigil active. He stared in disbelief. Sira, you did it, he muttered. And then he stood, pulled out his sidearm and checked the battery. He sent out a transmission. To all cells. The forge has been awakened. This is no longer a rescue mission. This is a revolution. Commander Reeve stood at the top of a ridge, watching as dozens of old rebel flares lit up across the horizon. Red flames glowing against the desert night. For the first time in years, Zephyria was alive with resistance. His comm crackled. Commander, the Flamekeeper is confirmed. She's awakened the Ember Forge. He nodded, voice steady. Good. Then we hit them tonight. Below him, in an abandoned cargo trench, rebel fighters were gathering. Aliens, humans, hybrids, all wearing mismatched gear and salvaged weapons. Some had old blasters. Others carried swords made from mining tools. But their eyes burned with fire. A new leader was coming. Inside the Ember Forge, Sira stood before a glowing table with ancient maps and war plans. Her newly equipped armor shimmered with light, lightweight, sleek, and built for speed. It wasn't flashy, but it was real, and it fit her perfectly. She didn't feel like a scared girl anymore. She felt like someone with a purpose. Around her, the Forge AI gave updates. Power reserves at 42%. Prototype pulse weapons online. 5 flame drones repaired and awaiting commands. Sira turned to the masked rebel who had led her here. You said I'm the last Flamekeeper, she asked quietly. But what does that mean? The man bowed slightly. It means your ancestors once ruled not with fear, but by protecting the balance of nature and water. The wellspring belongs to your bloodline, and only a true heir can reclaim it. Her hands clenched into fists. Then, it's time I took it back. The corporates, however, had already seen the signs. At the largest extraction base near the wellspring, alarms blared. Security droids lined up. A huge alien commander, bulky and lizard-skinned, stomped toward the control room. What is this symbol? He growled, pointing to the glowing phoenix icon on a drone's camera feed. A nervous tech replied, some kind of old rebel signal, and a Nari flame mark, just activated near the canyon. The commander's eyes narrowed. Kill the girl, kill the human, burn whatever they've touched. No more chances. Understood. He activated the emergency alert. Deploy Reaper units full force. End this uprising before it begins. Meanwhile, Reeve met Sira halfway across the desert at an old sandcrawler station. She approached with 4 flame drones, hovering beside her and a new fire in her eyes. He raised an eyebrow. Nice armor, Sira smiled faintly. I heard you started a war. He grinned back. I heard your royalty. She looked away. I didn't ask for any of this. I know, he said, but it came to you anyway. That means something. She paused. What if I mess up? You won't. You've already done what no one else could. You survived and kept your soul. Now it's time to fight back. Together they entered the sandcrawler station. Dozens of fighters were inside. The moment Sira stepped into the light, the room went silent. All eyes turned to her. Some whispered, "That's her." She's the one from the forge. She carries the flame. Reeve stepped back, giving her space. Sierra swallowed her nerves, then took a deep breath. I'm not a warrior, she said loudly. I'm not a general, but I know what it feels like to be hunted, starved, and ignored. I know what it feels like to lose everything. She raised her hand. This is the Wellspring's last chance, and I will die before I let another child suffer like my brother did. If you fight with me, not for a crown, but for justice, then we take back our home together. Silence. Then, one by one, they raised their weapons and the chants began. Flamekeeper, Flamekeeper. Later that night, Sierra and Reeve stood atop a hill, watching as multiple groups split across the desert in secret. A drone zipped to their side. It projected a hologram of Noro, safe and smiling in the cave. Found him, the rebel, Scout said. We'll move him to the healer camp by nightfall. Sierra wiped her eyes. Thank you. Then the smile faded from her face. Because in the distance, the corporates were moving too. Black airships circled like vultures. Reaper units, tall and armored like walking tanks, stomped across the dunes. They're coming, Reeve said. Sierra nodded. Let them. She touched her wrist comm and activated the forge beacon. Phoenix Cell. Strike teams move now. Target the tunnel pumps. Disable the water siphons. And leave the commander to me. The stars blinked above Zephiria's desert like silent witnesses, watching as war returned to the sands. But this time, it wasn't for conquest. It was for freedom. Commander. Reeve crouched behind a sand dune near the wellspring's edge, eyes locked on the pipeline structure. Enormous steel pipes pulsed with stolen water, pumping into underground transports bound for off-world ships. Corporate banners waved in the wind, and tall Reaper units stood like statues at each corner, guarding the liquid gold. In the distance, small squads of rebels circled in from all sides, Nari humans, hybrids, ready to strike. Beside Reeve, Sierra adjusted her gauntlet. Her armor glowed softly in the dark, matching the calm fire in her eyes. She wasn't trembling anymore. This was her land. This was her fight. Are you ready? Reeve asked. She gave a small nod. They nearly took my arm. Now I'm taking back the wellspring. Inside the corporate command tower, alarms suddenly flared red. Rebel activity detected. Multiple hostiles approaching from the west and south, shouted a tech officer. The alien commander, huge, lizard-skinned, with black armor and a mouthful of sharp fangs, growled deep in his throat. Deploy every Reaper. Open fire. Burn the sand if you have to. But sir, our supply pipes. Shut up. I want the Flamekeeper's head on my wall by sunrise. Sierra moved first. She activated her pulse gauntlet, sending a shockwave into the sand that blasted 2 Reapers off balance. Flame drones soared into the sky, shooting fire-like plasma into the air and confusing the enemy sensors. Reeve's squad fired stun rounds at the guards, knocking them unconscious before they could react. From the other side, 3 rebel units charged in, shouting the ancient rebel chant, "For the wellspring! For the flame!" Explosions lit up the dunes. Smoke and plasma filled the air. Sierra ducked under a swing from a Reaper's hammer arm, rolled forward, and stabbed her shock blade into its leg joint. Sparks flew as the giant collapsed. Behind her, Reeve used his exo-legs to leap onto the back of another Reaper, jamming an EMP spike into its power pack. The machine dropped like a stone, but more were coming. From above, black hovercrafts swooped, and Reeve looked at Sierra. We need to cut the siphon lines now. Sierra nodded. Cover me. While the battle raged outside, she sprinted across the sand toward the water pumps. Bullets zipped past her, but she was fast. Her light armor boosted. Her steps. She slid under a pipe, crawled through a maintenance hatch, and entered the control center. Inside, she saw it. The water siphon core. It was massive, glowing blue, alive with stolen power. She stepped up to the control panel, but stopped when a deep echoing voice filled the room. You again. She turned slowly. The alien commander stood in the doorway. His massive body blocked the exit. In one hand he held a heat axe. I should have taken your arm when I had the chance. He growled. Syrah didn't flinch. You're too late, I'm not the same girl anymore. He laughed. You think armor makes you strong? You think a few rebels make you queen? No, she said calmly. But pain did. Loss did. And now I've got nothing left to lose. Then, she charged. The commander swung his axe, missing by inches as she ducked low, slashing at his knee joint. He howled, swinging again, but she flipped backward, landing on the Corps' catwalk. He ran after her, but she had a plan. She led him forward, then kicked a release valve behind her. Superheated steam blasted from the floor, striking the commander directly in the face. He screamed and staggered. Syrah didn't wait. She spun, drove her shock blade into the control panel and slammed her gauntlet down. The entire system sparked violently. Warning lights flared. Siphon system overload, emergency shutdown in progress. The pipes began to shudder. The pump stopped humming. Outside, rebels and corporates alike paused as the huge siphon pipes burst open, spraying water back into the wellspring basin. The desert floor trembled and water flowed freely again. Back in the control room, the commander, bleeding and burned, crawled toward her. Syrah knelt beside him. He growled. This isn't over. She leaned closer, her voice cold. No, but you are. She stood and walked away as backup arrived to take him. Hours later, the first light of dawn touched the dunes. The rebels stood in silence at the edge of the wellspring, watching as fresh water bubbled up again, untouched, unclaimed, and pure. The pipeline had been destroyed. Villagers began emerging from the hills, looking down with disbelief. Children ran to the edge, women cried, elders dropped to their knees. It was theirs again, and standing in the center, holding a flag with the old flame symbol, was Syrah. Behind her stood Reeve, and beside her dozens of rebels raised their hands. They didn't need to say anything, because Zephyria was waking up. The wellspring flowed freely now. After so many years of being controlled, poisoned and stolen, the water sparkled in the morning sun, clear and cold like a new beginning. Rebels stood side by side with villagers and survivors. Humans and Nari shared food, cleaned wounds, and filled flasks together. The mood was quiet, but full of something stronger than joy. Hope. Syrah stood at the edge of the spring. She dipped her hand into the water and watched the ripples spread. This time, no soldier shouted, no blade rose. No one stopped her. She looked over her shoulder and saw Reeve sitting under a broken pillar, wrapping a bandage around his arm. He caught her eye and nodded once. She smiled softly. They had done it. By midday, the desert sky shimmered with strange ships descending Earth peace envoys. One ship landed near the wellspring. From it stepped a woman in sharp silver armor with a UN symbol across her chest. She looked around, saw the wrecked Reapers and the rebels still holding weapons, then spotted Reeve. She marched straight to him. Commander Reeve, you've violated 3 major orders, used forbidden military tech, and caused the shutdown of a classified corporate operation. Reeve didn't stand. He just raised an eyebrow. And I'd do it again. Before she could speak, Syrah stepped between them. You can threaten him later, Syrah said. Right now, the people of Zephyria want to talk peace. The woman narrowed her eyes. And who exactly are you? I am Syrah of the Nari, last, heir of the Flame Keepers, and the girl you tried to execute 2 nights ago. The UN officer opened her mouth, then closed it again. Finally, she said, We'll listen. In the ruins of an old supply station, a roundtable meeting began. On one side, Syrah, Reeve, rebel leaders, and a few tribal elders. On the other, Earth envoys, corporate representatives with bruises and bandages, and security bots standing guard. Syrah didn't wait for introductions. The wellspring belongs to the people of this land, not to corporations, not to Earth. We are not a resource. We are not slaves. We are not for sale. One corporate leader, coughing from smoke inhalation, said, weakly, We were only helping. Reeve slammed his hand down. You nearly cut off a teenage girl's arm. You shipped drinking water to rich planets while entire villages died. That's not help. That's piracy. The room fell silent. The Earth envoy slowly nodded. A full investigation will begin. And until then, all corporate activity on Zephyria is suspended. Reeve turned to Sira and whispered, "We won't get more than that for now." Sira stood. "Then let the people take care of the rest. We've been silent long enough." The rebels clapped. That night, torches lined the wellspring cliffs. Villagers gathered with drums and soft music. Children danced in circles. A fire crackled in the center, warming the cold night. Sira sat beside Reeve as the stars shone brightly above them. "You did it," he said quietly. She shook her head. "We did it." He smiled. "So what now, Flamekeeper?" Sira looked at the sky. "I don't want a throne. I want a school. I want a clean water system. I want real peacekeepers, not ones who turn their heads when pain isn't profitable." Reeve raised his cup. "Then I'll follow you, wherever that path leads. But peace doesn't last forever." Far away, in a black chamber aboard a ship orbiting a dead moon, a creature of shadows watched the reports. The hologram showed Sira, the Flamekeeper, standing with her people. The creature's mouth opened, and a deep, metallic voice spoke. "So the IR, humans and the Nari rise together. How interesting." Another voice, thinner, hissed from the shadows. "Shall we crush them, my lord?" The first voice whispered back. "Not yet. Let the spark burn brighter. The brighter the fire, the longer the shadow it casts." A red eye blinked in the dark. "We shall come when they think they are safe. And the girl will be the key to it all." Back on Zephyria, as the fire burned low and the music faded into the wind, Sira held her brother close and whispered, "We're free now, and far above, beyond the stars." Something stirred. It had been 7 days since the battle. The wellspring now flowed freely, guarded by volunteer rebel patrols and protected by treaties signed under Earth's supervision. Villages began rebuilding. Children played in the stream again. Markets reopened with food and laughter. But not everyone was at peace. Sira stood on a stone platform overlooking the canyon. Her armor was packed away. She wore a simple cloth robe, blending in with the people. But her heart was heavy. Something didn't feel right. Her brother Noro had stopped smiling. The other rebels were restless. Even Commander Reeve, though calm on the outside, kept his blaster within arm's reach, even during sleep. She turned when she heard boots behind her. It was Reeve, holding a datapad. "Another one," he said. Sira raised an eyebrow. "Another what?" He handed her the device. It showed satellite footage, grainy but clear enough. A burned village, a small one, no survivors, and worse, there were no tracks, no signs of ships, no battle, just shadows. She frowned. "This wasn't corporates?" Reeve shook his head. "No logos, no weapons we know." But the message was clear. He tapped the datapad again. A still frame appeared, burned into the ground. Was a symbol, a red circle with a jagged eye inside. Sira felt cold all over. "What does it mean?" Reeve looked grim. "It means someone is watching us, and they don't want peace." Far across the galaxy, in a hidden chamber deep within the moon Kaltor, the creature with the glowing red eye stood before his followers. They wore black robes and bone armor, their mouths covered, their eyes dark. They were not corporate, not even human. They were ancients, silent, old and angry. The red-eyed figure raised a hand. "Zephyria's fire has returned. A Nari child holds the key to a power forgotten. We cannot let her awaken what sleeps below the wellspring." A priest knelt. "What is your will, Lord Vale?" The eye glowed brighter. "Send the eaters. Let them feast on courage before it becomes war." Back on Zephyria, Sira entered the old forge. The lights flickered strangely as she walked past the ancient armor racks. The AI voice greeted her, but this time it sounded slow. "Warning. Environmental integrity. Compromised. She stopped. Compromised? Where? Unknown signal breach. Unauthorized system ping from beneath the surface. Origin. Below the wellspring basin. Her eyes widened. There's something under the wellspring? The AI replied. Yes, it was sealed long ago. Nari legends called it the Deep Flame. Sierra turned and ran straight to Reeve. We need to go beneath the wellspring. Reeve blinked. Why? She handed him the AI transcript. His face went pale. Oh no. That's why they're coming. Sierra nodded. The forge wasn't the final secret. Something ancient is down there. Something dangerous, and they want it before we find it. That night, Sierra gathered a small team, herself, Reeve, a tech specialist, and 2 guards. They lowered themselves down a forgotten tunnel behind the forge. The air got colder, the light dimmer. Their boots echoed on metal and stone. After an hour of descent, they reached a door. It was carved with Nari writing. Sierra stepped forward and placed her hand on the center. It glowed. Flamekeeper verified. Seal unlocked. The door creaked open. Inside was a massive underground chamber. A pool of glowing blue fire sat in the center, silent, pulsing like a heartbeat. Sierra gasped. What is this? The tech whispered. It's alive. Suddenly, the chamber lights turned red. An alarm blared. Reeve shouted, Incoming above us! Back at the surface, black figures poured out of the skies. No ships, no sound, just dozens of creatures with bone-white claws and glowing red symbols. On their heads, they didn't speak, they just devoured. The moment the chamber door opened, something changed in the air. The oxygen tasted heavier. The light coming from the glowing blue fire in the center of the cave pulsed slower, as if it sensed them. Commander Reeve's instincts kicked in fast. Don't touch anything, he warned. Sierra nodded, eyes wide. The room wasn't just strange, it felt sacred. Symbols on the wall showed ancient Nari warriors kneeling around this flame. But in the final carving, they were fleeing from it. She turned to the tech. Can you scan it? He held up his device, then frowned. It's not energy, it's alive. I don't even know how to describe it. It's not a flame, it's like memory, power, emotion. Suddenly, a whisper echoed around the chamber. A voice, not from a mouth, but from inside their minds. Flamekeeper, you have returned, but not alone. The team froze. Sierra stepped forward. Who are you? The voice answered with sadness. We are what remain, one of those who burned too brightly. We gave warmth to the galaxy once, but now we are hunted. The Eaters have come. Above ground, they had already arrived. Black, tall, and silent. The Eaters didn't run. They didn't roar. They walked, and everything they touched, torches, power cables, drone cores, simply died. Lights flickered out across the rebel camps. Blaster turrets failed. Even the forge's AI shut down without warning. Panic spread fast. Villagers screamed and ran, but those who tried to fight were met with horror. The Eaters didn't bleed. Bullets melted before hitting them. They had no mouths, no eyes, only a single glowing red symbol on their smooth heads. When a young rebel slashed one with a knife, the creature grabbed his blade hand, and the fire in the man's eyes went out. He dropped, alive, but empty. Back underground, Sierra felt something deep in her bones. Fear. Not the kind she knew before, but the kind that whispered she was too late. Reeve loaded his blaster even though he knew it wouldn't help. If they're feeding on power, how do we fight them? The flame in the chamber flickered again. They do not feed on flesh. They devour courage. The braver the soul, the sweeter the fire they taste. Everyone went still. Reeve whispered, Then that's why they came. For you. You lit the fire. You led the uprising. You're a beacon. Sierra's voice shook. So, I drew them here? No, the voice replied. You woke them. When you touched the Ember Forge, their prison cracked. Up above, Reeves' old squad leader tried to evacuate the children from the wellspring, but one of the eaters appeared in the path. The moment she raised her rifle, the creature moved like smoke. She fired, nothing. The eater raised its hand and her weapon turned to dust. But just before it could reach her, a flare shot from the cliffs. It was Noro, Sira's little brother, holding a pulse cannon almost as big as himself. The blast hit the creature in the side. It didn't die, but it stopped, twisted, turned, and walked away. Not toward the boy, but toward the canyon wall, where the Flamekeeper's banner waved in the wind. Back. Below, Sira finally asked, "How do we stop them?" The voice in the flame answered, "You must not run from fear, you must give it to us." She blinked. "What?" "We are the deep flame, what they seek to destroy. But if you choose Flamekeeper, you may feed us your fear, and we will become your shield." Reeve looked alarmed. "Sira, wait. That could kill you." Sira's lips trembled. "I've been afraid for years," she whispered. "Afraid to lose Noro. Afraid to fail. But if I can burn that fear to protect them, then it's worth it." She stepped forward. The fire rose, and without hesitation, she walked into it. Outside, every eater stopped moving at once. Their heads tilted skyward, their claws lowered. Then, they began to scream. For the first time ever, they made noise, not from mouths, but from every part of their bodies, like bones cracking and fire exploding in reverse. And then, they burned. One by one, they lit up, like candles under rain. Not with fire, but with memory. With courage. From the flame, Sira's voice echoed, "You do not belong here. This world has already paid its price. Leave us while you still can." And the shadows vanished, just like that. Gone. When the team returned to the surface, they found Sira kneeling beside the wellspring, her armor scorched, her face pale, but her eyes glowing softly. Reeve ran to her. "Are you?" She smiled. "They're gone. For now. But you." She looked up at the sky. "I didn't destroy them, Reeve. I just showed them what they fear most." He frowned. "What's that?" she whispered. "A world that refuses to stay afraid." 3 days after the attack, Zephyria was changed. The wellspring still flowed. The skies remained quiet. The shadows had not returned, but their memory lingered in every campfire and whispered story. Villagers spoke of the girl who walked into fire and came back with glowing eyes. Some called her blessed. Others said cursed. Sira didn't call herself anything. She only knew one thing. She wasn't normal anymore. In the rebuilt Rebel Council Hall, Commander Reeve paced across the floor. A hollow map floated above the table, showing Zephyria's orbit. Tapped a blinking red dot that had just appeared. Another ship. Unmarked. Not corporate. Not Earth. Definitely not friendly. He turned to Sira. "That's the third one in 2 days. They're coming now." Sira looked at him calmly. "Because of the fire?" "No," he said, "because of you." She frowned. "You didn't just stop the eaters," Reeve continued. "You sent out a message, across the galaxy. Something ancient, loud, and full of raw power. And now every empire, pirate, and diplomat out there is listening." Sira crossed her arms. "Let them come. Zephyria isn't afraid anymore." Reeve smirked. "Then we better prepare for guests." That evening, the first new ship arrived. It didn't land at the capital or any Earth-controlled base. It touched down on an empty cliffside above the wellspring. Its design was strange, metal like glass, edges like feathers, lights that blinked out of rhythm with time itself. Reeve, Sira, and 2 rebel guards approached carefully. The ramp opened. From the glowing ship stepped a woman or something close to one. Her skin shimmered like liquid silver. Her eyes had no pupils. She wore no armor, just a robe made of threads that moved like water. She spoke. Her voice was musical, like wind through crystal. Flamekeeper, you touched the deep flame. We felt it across the stars. Sira stood her ground. And you are? The woman smiled softly. We are the Ember Accord, guardians of forgotten fire, and we have come to offer a choice. Reeve stepped forward. A choice? She turned to him. The galaxy is burning slowly, Commander, bit by bit. Not with war, but with silence. The Eaters are only the beginning. The deep flame was never meant to be locked away. It was meant to guide, to awaken, to defend. She faced Sira again. You carry its spark now. That makes you a beacon. The question is, will you burn alone, or lead others to light their own fires? Sira was silent for a long time. Finally, she asked, And if I say no? The woman smiled wider. Then the galaxy will come anyway, but it won't be asking, it will be taking. Later that night, Sira sat by the wellspring with her brother Noro curled up beside her. He looked up at her glowing hand. Do you feel different now? He asked sleepily. She smiled. Yes, but also the same. Will the monsters come back? She looked at the sky. Maybe, but I'll be ready. In the dark edge of space on the borders of forgotten systems, strange empires began to move. Some sought to conquer Zephyria, some wanted to control the deep flame, and some, like the Ember Accord, came not to fight, but to follow. Because once, Zephyria was a dry, dead world. Now it had a flamekeeper. And across 1,000 systems people whispered her name. Sira,